This is The Meek Informant, your content source for Legend of the Five Rings, published by Fantasy Flight Games. Enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Meek Informant, your podcast for the meek and uninformed. I'm Eric.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Adam.
How's it going, guys? It's been a little while, as usual.
Yeah, it's like a whole month where I was like not around.
Yes, this is our modus operandus. In case it hasn't been apparent, we do a show and then it'll be a little while, and then we do another show because we're like, oh, I'm getting the L5R itch. You got any more of those good provinces, or I don't know?
Yeah, we had 2 in August though. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah, we're great at
so
this.
bad. Yeah.
Excellent.
But like over that time, like Gen Con happened, and then Nova just happened, and like roles changed, and like packs got released that I didn't even know were out for 2 weeks. That like all that stuff happened, and I was not aware of it.
Yeah, we gotta catch up here, especially apparently Adam and I. Nick's been in it. He's been grinding. He's been playing to the best of his ability. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I've been playing a ton of games. New experimental decks with cards that aren't even on Jigoku yet, so I have to keep manualing them. So yeah,
oh, that sounds miserable.
It's not too bad because it's just like the one card that I have in there is just a reaction when your opponent plays a card, gain an honor. So
okay,
it's not too bad. But
all right, let's take a quick pause here to recognize the people that have brought us to you today. We got a couple of shout outs for our lovely patrons. We have got to thank Midgard Comics and Games as an official sponsor of the show. This is the game store that we all play in from week to week and have tournaments at locally. They've got they've got miniature tables and L5R people, Magic players, and role-playing games. Lots of role-playing groups, D&D. They're pretty great. Go check them out. If you are in the Derry, New Hampshire area, that's where they're located. They're the best.
Yeah, we played there today, and they were like totally open on Labor Day. It was great.
You guys.
Sorry.
I have a family and I couldn't come play. Right.
Hey, you actually primed the pump on that. When you said you were going to go, I was like, oh, maybe I can convince Anna that she'll let me go. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go to the store. And it was like, I kind of like held back a flinch just in case. Like she was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, okay. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to the store.
Yeah, I was about to open my mouth to say, hey, I want to go to the store. And my wife was like, do you want to, before I could say the words, my wife was like, do you want to play Arkham Horror? And I was like, oh, yes. So I had to go do that. So I can't complain too much, I suppose. We also want to thank Luxury Playstyle. They are producing the highest quality metal tokens for this game that you could possibly imagine. I think we all play with them. If you
came out with some new stuff today, didn't they?
Oh yeah, he came out with the what's he calling those? The
iridescent, and already sold out.
Oh my gosh, yes, I see them now because you were telling me earlier.
The iridescent Sakuras.
They are
already
ridiculous.
Sold out. And you have to. He is taking a pre-order for the next set of 500 that he's making. So get on that.
Oh my god!
He's calling them the Splendor of Seasons, I think.
What is with him? He is just off the rails. Those are amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, they go so well with the Crane Eric deck from last year's Worlds. Like, they go well with anything. Those are stunning. Oh my god.
Yep.
So yeah, Luxury Playstyle. If you're interested in getting in on that pre-order, go over to LuxPlay. That's luxplay.com and use Lux Informant again. LUX Informant for 15% off.
Yeah.
And wow. Besides that, we just want to thank the rest of our lovely patrons, including those for our sister channel, Boardgame Informant. If you're into board games, go check that out. Anyway, that's all our shout outs. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/meekinformant and check it out there. We actually have a little patron related news as well. This past week, we're making good on one of our our promises. Haha. little Freudian slip there because
There you go.
at the $10 level, which we call Super Informant, we promised people the option to have province backers in a clan color of their choosing. And I designed those, and Johnny got them ordered for us. So we've got those coming in shortly. So if you are already at least a $10 level patron, you'll be getting those. And if you want some, we can post the pictures of them on our Twitter account and Facebook channel, and maybe you'll want to go grab them. Sign up and support the show. We'll send those to you. We also have a couple other levels, $5 level where you can vote on future content, and at $20 a month, which we don't really expect anybody to do, but if you do,
Eric, stop. No.
if you do, I will personally, or Nick or whoever, will do a ride along video with you. And
I'm gonna become a Patreon just so I can play a game against Nick.
Cool. Time. So we'll
Again.
Play a game with you on Jigoku and record it and put it on a YouTube channel for us. So
yeah.
Anyway, enough spiel. What's been going on with us? Adam, what's been going on with you?
Yeah. So I have been in California for at least 2 weeks, and then came back and tried to readjust my life to being away. So I did house stuff, adult stuff. So that's been happening.
Boo.
Yeah, I know, right? So I missed the fact that an entire pack got released, and yeah, that happened. So I had to catch up on my podcast. I had to catch up on chatting with all these fine fellows and ladies that we have locally. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. But I did get to play some L5R out there in California. And shout out to Matt Soto of the Imperial Host Coast to Coast podcast. If you haven't listened to them, you should. Super chill guy. We didn't get to play each other, but we did chat for like 3 hours after we played. I did a teaching game to my friend Rich, who's lived out there now for the past couple of years, and he has been on the outside looking in on L5R. He played Netrunner a bunch, and he still has, I think, a bunch of his Netrunner, and so he's just hesitant because finding a group of people to play games with is sometimes difficult. So what was awesome is Matt had his entire box of the Children of the Empire, and it was full of starter decks. So we pulled those out, and I taught Rich how to play, and he really enjoyed it. So that was fun. And so that was basically me playing at Addie's Games. If you're ever out in San Diego, go ahead and play there. And I picked up a bunch of other stuff there. They have like everything you could ever imagine. It's like an all-encompassing gaming store. I picked up some Warcry stuff. They have miniatures, card games, RPGs. Basically, I would call it like a Midgard Games, but not Midgard Games across the country. So yeah,
Nice.
no, it was fun. I did play a bunch of board games too when I was out there to kind of try and do a little BGI. So our Boardgame Informant sister channel, I played some Carson City and posted some photos of that, which was my first playthrough. That game is a lot of fun. And I played Cry Havoc, which is a game that's been on my radar for like 3 years since it came out of Gen Con. So hopefully in the future, I can't say near future, but I hear there's other people on Boardgame Informant that want to play that. So maybe we can make that happen.
Yeah, I think we can totally make Cry Havoc happen. Johnny and I have played that a couple of times together.
Oh, nice.
Been a little while, so
cool.
Yeah, we'll try and get that onto the channel. I've heard Carson City is cool. It looks interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting.
That's
and
the
Eric is
the one where you're driving cattle, right?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It's that you're in a.
You're thinking of Great Western Trail, Nick.
Yes, I am. Yep.
Yeah, you're basically in a city and trying to build out like this map of locations, and there are train tracks and stuff like that, but it's not like a train game. It's not 18xx. Like I don't want to confuse people that no, I just say that because we have a lot of content of that on our sister channel. So it's a territory control board game.
Area control?
Area control with a little drafting elements to it, I would say. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a great time playing it. And the last and not least thing I did there in California was I built a bleeping lightsaber. And I don't know what our rating is, but I built a lightsaber with my wife and my kids. It was the best thing ever. If you get a chance to go to Disney World, Disneyland, because it's now available at Disney World as of like this past week, you can build a lightsaber, and it was amazing.
Did you hurt yourself with it?
No,
Those must be
but
dangerous.
they are dangerous. This is why I had to only build one for the family, because if we had two, like we have all the toy lightsabers, but this is like a legit like 15-pound lightsaber, metal on metal. You pick out a kyber crystal. It's pretty epic.
Wow.
Look up Savi's workshop, and you will see the millions of videos out there of people building it. It's pretty great.
Neat. I'll go quick recap next. Been doing a lot of stuff for Boardgame Informant lately. It's been sort of pulling my attention away from L5R, which is part of what we're going to address in this very episode. We did a live stream of Import Export. We did another one of the continuation of our Dunwich Legacy campaign of Arkham Horror. Johnny and I the other night did that. So we've moved that over from if you happen to have been following the
what just
that's how I use my words. Don't you guys words that way? If you were following our Dunwich Legacy campaign for Arkham Horror on Meek Informant, we've moved that. We're continuing it over on Boardgame Informant. We're purging the non-L5R content, except for apparently from this podcast. So yeah, Johnny and I have also been playing a lot of 18XX, which is a kind of train. It's a subgenre of board games where you're playing with trains. We play
trains
teachers.
and stocks and economics,
TI-89 calculators.
There was a graphing calculator involved in solving the final score, so that's like intimidating.
It's whatever, you just add and multiply numbers, whatever. It just makes things go fast.
I want to know who played Snake on it at one point during the game.
I did not. There's no games on that calculator, which is unfortunate.
What?
It's my wife's calculator from high school. It's not mine.
Oh, come on.
They're referring to a picture that I put on Twitter where my wife's silver edition TI 85, not the 89, is featured. Anyway, 18CZ, 18 New England, which is a trade game we're testing for. It's a prototype. We're in play test, which is cool with one of the companies that makes these kinds of games. Anyway, we've been doing that, and I've been playing a ton of Arkham Horror with my wife, which is awesome. We got through 4 scenarios of Carcosa this weekend, over Labor Day weekend. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I've just been grinding a bunch of L5R. L5R is like the one true game. I don't know what you guys are doing playing all these other things. But no, I've been playing a lot of a game called Slay the Spire, which is pretty fun. It's like a card game roguelike kind of dungeon crawler thing. It's hard to describe, but it's pretty good.
On like electronically?
Yeah. It's on Steam.
Oh, is this one that you guys have all been chatting on in the L5R off topic chat?
Well, yeah, everybody else has moved on to playing some dice game, but
dice.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I like my randomness in cardboard form.
I mean, I play some Age of Sigmar and stuff now, but like still.
Yeah,
that's physically rolling dice, not mechanic, like not digitally.
They just keep posting these pictures of like 36 D6s all showing various numbers, and they're like, whoa, and I have no idea what's going on.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What's the probability? Let's calculate it.
Get your TI-84 Silver Edition out now. Go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So we've had a bunch of news. Sorry, is that all that you have to report? Are we done? Or
like that's legitimate. I could tell you about. I've been playing some disc golf. Disc golf's great. It's a good game, folks.
Oh,
nice.
Get out there and try it. Get out in the woods.
That's a good game.
Throw some plastic.
This is like your passion of outside of L5R, right? This is like sort of your secondary thing.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. And I found out that I found a way to. I convinced my boss of a way to let me play disc golf at work during work hours.
Seems legit.
This is great.
Totally marketing. Trust me.
This is amazing. This is this is the 21st century of golf play, right? This is like people.
It's a business expense.
Yeah.
You got to go meet and greet.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, I just got to get them to start paying for some of my discs as well, and then we're really in business.
You transition it to L5R can be played at work as a marketing.
It's the same thing, really, when you think about it.
I know, you could be like Gambit, just throw your L5R cards at people.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
Get a nice Heiser line on a noble sack.
Yeah.
We don't know what that
Excellent.
means. No one
Yeah,
knows what that means, Nick.
Okay, all right, fine. Like, one person who doesn't know what any of the L5R stuff means, but who listens in support will know what that means. So
Stop your senseless rambling and let's get on to some story updates. Let's hear. I hear. So okay. So since I actually have what pack is this? Bonds of Blood. I bought it and I put the cards in my collection, and I think I might have like took New Daka out and put him in a deck, and that was about it. So that's where I left off here.
So you're already like a pack behind, right?
Yeah, I'm at least a pack behind, and we have like story updates. Can you, Nick, Phil, Adam, and I in on what's going on in L5R these days? Because I'm sure somebody else is, I'd call myself lazy, but this is all just like fun stuff. So
yeah, it's fair. All right, so major story spoilers follow. So the Emperor's dead. He was killed by his own son, Hante Satori, when he was telling Satori that he was going to basically disown him, and they were all going to go off and join a monastery together. Satori picked up the ancestral sword of Hante and cut him to death. Scorpion know about this. Kachiko like found her way into the room directly after this, covered the whole thing up, and basically told Satori, "Go, be quiet somewhere, stay out of the way while the adults are handling this." Emperor. And then let's see. So since then, there have been a couple of stories basically covering one clan at a time, or one clan's perspective at least, in like the hours immediately following the death of the Emperor. So we've had a story in which Yuchi Shahai learned that Satori killed the Emperor, and so did Hante Daisetsu, the second in line for the throne, who the Emperor actually wanted to inherit it. So they learned and they ran off into the woods. They were found by Takashi Mitsu, who is now following them around, helping them out. The Crane are going to have a civil war because Kuwanin found some things that imply that maybe Hotaru asked the Scorpion to kill her dad, their dad. So
wait, which one's Hotaru?
The current champion, current Crane clan champion.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yep. So now they are both claiming it, which is why there are two Crane clan champions in the Justice for Satsume pack. So,
which is the pack that I missed.
That just came out, right?
Yep.
Well,
yeah, it just came out.
Just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And the Crane province is conflict among kin or between kin or something like that. So, yep. It's going to be great times for the Crane. What else? Kachiko sent Bayushi Aramoro to kill Akoto Totori, the Emerald Champion. And just like everything else Aramoro does, he screwed it up, kind of.
Of course. Because he's a terrible card in the game. He's a bad person.
He took like 4 ninjas with him, and I mean, he did eventually succeed at killing Totori, but Totori, like in his pajamas, killed 3 people before being brought down. So
take that, Scorpion.
Yeah, I need to read. This is like, I agree there. Like, I know we're being lazy in the sense of being lazy in a hobby thing, but yeah, I know, like, it's just finding the time, because I've already heard this through a little bit of the grapevine on Discord and through chats, but in a podcast. But I like, it sounds like the story themselves by the authors who wrote them.
Oh, they're awesome.
Really well written too. Yeah. So like, I got to catch up. I'm only 4 behind, so that should only take a little while. I just got to find the time.
Yep. But Totori's not dead because his wife Akoto Kaede showed up and just like in the game, removed her one card fate from
like
herself.
The game. Like, oh, that's crazy.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
And then he didn't. That's
cool. Yeah.
She like said no.
Bent a fate off of her card to save him, obviously.
Exactly.
Right.
So yeah, basically like the Emperor's dead, the Emerald Champion is near death, and everything's on fire.
Wasn't there a dragon story too?
Yeah, the dragon marched an army right up to Otosanuchi, the imperial city, without anyone noticing, apparently. And they just like appear out of nowhere and are like, "Hey guys, we have an army." And the Ruby champion, who is now in charge because like everybody else is dead or missing, was like, "Great, you are now the Imperial Guards because I don't trust anyone else."
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Also, that
you
was
know-
where Mitsu ran into Daisetsu, and now him and Daisetsu and Shahai are going to go off and have some sort of crazy road trip.
Oh, this sounds fun. I want to go play Dragon again because Mitsu is my boy. You know how they all managed to sneak up though is that they each had a tattooed wanderer on their back. And,
Yep, just a whole bunch of covert. Yeah.
And then there's Mitsu. He didn't need one.
That's the picture I now will forever envision.
Just a bunch
Yeah,
of dudes.
just an entire army with an army's worth of little monk backpacks.
They're all drugged and like high or something like that, just
See,
on their backs.
They don't
Amazing.
show the scale on the tattooed wanderer card, but he's Yoda sized, and then
Oh.
he's just a little guy. Goes on the
Classic.
back. All right,
Amazing.
cool. Thanks for the catch up on the story.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
The nice part is that those four, like Adam was saying, that's maybe like 2 hours of reading.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
no,
much.
and they're really good stories. They're good. Read them.
And actually, I would just want to say that I ever reading. Only one I haven't read is the Phoenix book, but like all of the little novellas have been like pretty great. If anybody hasn't read those, they're
The
really
the
good.
Phoenix book might be my favorite one. I'm gonna have to lend that to you because it's so good.
I have it. I just haven't read it. It's like the first one I got. I just haven't read it. Yeah, I
Stop being
I
a man.
loved you. You didn't like the Scorpion one, right? Was it you?
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that one. It was
Really?
okay.
I really liked that one. I enjoyed it, but I guess
I have
Scorpion.
nitpicks with the central twist. Anyway,
yeah, fair enough.
I have two of them sitting on my shelf from Johnny that he lent me when we started playing the game, and I was like, yeah, I'll read these.
never did you?
No, I have not.
They take like no time at all. I'm surprised. Like at first I was
they
like,
go
oh,
quick.
they're like super quick. Like you could read it in like a couple hours. It's really not long. If you can just sit down. Like I did it. I should say this. The only reason I finished mine was I was on business trips and I would sit at the airport for like 2 hours between flights and I'd read like half the book and then be on the plane and then finish it. It's like that was the only way.
I will bring one along on my next vacation.
There you go.
Good call.
Wow, speaking of vacation, Nick, are we going away somewhere? You and me together? Like
We are.
like frozen tundra of like Minnesota?
Yeah, Minnesota in November sounded so great that we were just like, yeah, let's book some flights. Let's do it.
I heard bathing suits, pool, beach. Like that was what everyone was like touting that goes on there that time of year. Is that right?
That is my plan. I don't intend to bring anything but shorts and tank tops.
Please do this and take pictures.
Yeah, no, we're going there for Worlds, which is only L5R this year, I believe, right? It's just L5R.
Yes. Yeah, it is 100% L5R pizza party.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So we are, I think you and I, James, I believe, Dave, the Five Rings are all arriving Tuesday, which is the 5th of November. I want to say.
Yep. And then the next day,
So
you
that's-
all are playing, but I don't have to. So
Yeah.
that's pretty nice.
Oh,
It's gonna be fun.
shade.
I can attend like 50 of the New England tournaments in the area to like trickle down effect the the invite to Worlds.
Hey, I had to fly to Atlanta to get mine. Thank you.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general. Like we
Yeah.
were very lucky. I just I live a life of not getting to attend events. So
Is the window for that closed now? Can you like not earn one by?
There is precisely one more event that grants them, or maybe there's two. There's one. So
Really?
there's one coming up in Las Vegas, and I think October, a Grand Championship. That's gonna have invites at it. And there's if you want to fly to Italy, there's a Cote in Bologna. Oh,
Wow.
and Madrid might have a Grand Championship too. I think they have a.
I would totally go to Madrid.
The stakes
like
are
Spain.
significantly higher for those than like all the ECs that we went to.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Well, I don't even care about. So for people that don't know me that well, because we've only been doing this podcast for like 6 months now, but I usually go to like 2 to 3 cons a year, and this year I shifted and I made sure that I wanted to go to Worlds because I heard how much fun it was last year and the year before, and I love L5R, and that's why I'm going, no matter whether I qualify or not, because I want to go and hang out at the pizza party apparently. But
Yeah,
no,
it's
it's nice. I like the New England people are going to be there. There's a lot of people that I've talked to over chat over the years, so it's gonna be great. We have a house, an entire house with a bunch of
Yes.
degenerate people.
Yeah. I'm going to try to cook, maybe, depending on. We'll see. My ambitions for that keep getting lower the closer I get to having to cook.
I'll cook. I'll make crepes. I'll make crepes for breakfast. if you want.
Nice.
Yeah.
Boom.
Adam, how long did you say that you thought we were doing this podcast for?
I don't know, 6 months.
It is 6 months, like just about exactly.
Really?
Well, ish, a little bit more. It was January 20th, our first episode. Anyway,
Oh, all right. So like 9 months.
what?
If you
Yeah,
said January.
that's If it was
What?
February
September.
20th, it is-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
he's literally counting the
8.
months, folks.
I am, but 8 months would be September 20th.
You're right that if a full 9 months would be the end of September, but I guess yes, January to me says 1 and September says 9. So I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to
Rounding.
anything else.
Get that TI-84 calculator out. Let's go.
So you guys are going to Worlds, and that's going to be cool. Adam, you're hoping to qualify on that first day?
Yeah,
or just not?
obviously, I would like to. I mean, it'd be fun. I don't know that I'm going to have enough time to figure out where the meta is, which is actually what this episode's about, hopefully.
Yeah, we're going to get there maybe.
Eventually, when we
Yeah.
get around
But
to it.
this is good.
All right, so briefly, I guess, to speed things along a little bit, we want to mention that, speaking of tournaments, there was the Nova Open tournament?
Yep.
Which was
Virginia.
It was a special kind of tournament, right? A grand championship?
Yes, one of the first. I think the second, third
national
grand championship,
championship.
something like that. Yeah.
I don't know. It's part of the new structure. Which is it? Do we know?
It's a
Yeah,
national.
it was a grand
national.
So nationals don't exist anymore. They're called grand championships now.
Oh,
Yeah. Legend of the Rings, yeah. Grand Championship at the Nova Open. And
Yep.
a friend of the podcast, Arash, won Nova. Congrats, Arash.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Pretty crazy.
yeah.
He was featured on our Dragon Clan interview episode, and has, well, I don't know. He won the event playing Scorpion, so he's moved on to some greener pastures. But
Yeah.
Him and I go way back too.
Hard to blame him. But
redder,
he says
more
he's
red
gonna
pastures.
he says he's going to be playing Dragon at Worlds. So let's
nice.
put that out there in the world so he can't back down.
Yeah, he's still on the Dragon chat on the global Discord. I think he just wanted to win.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. And also, I can't blame him. Scorpion's probably more fun than Dragon.
It's pretty fun.
It's
Yeah.
refreshing to switch. I'm doing the Phoenix thing. You guys are still true and blue, Nick, and true and red, Adam.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's get to the meat and potatoes, I suppose.
Yeah.
The meta, which, in case you don't know what the meta means, when we say the meta, it means what people are playing, what kind of cards are out there. I don't know what the meta looks like anymore. I did, and now new cards are out and new roles have changed and everything. So I'm going to ask Nick, can you break it down for us? What's going on?
Yeah. So we just on September 1st had the new rules go into effect, and they are basically everyone took either air or earth, and then keeper or seeker depending on the clan. But like Crab got keeper of air, Crane got keeper of air, Dragon got seeker of air, Lion and Phoenix both got seeker of earth, Scorpion and Unicorn got keeper of earth. So what's so great about earth and air? Air has like a bunch of like powerful cards that are basically locked behind it. So Forebear's Echoes, which is a new card that is basically Spirit Caller, but it's an event. And it's like one it's a 2 fate event that lets you bring somebody back for a conflict from your discard pile. So that's obviously pretty powerful. Mark of Shame and Soul Beyond Reproach, which were in the elemental cycle, are super powerful cards, especially for like dishonor decks or honor decks. So those are kind of like the 3 big air cards people wanted. And then the Earth rolls, every single one of them is for a new card from, I think, Bonds of Blood. That was it's called Earth Becomes Sky. It says no to towers. I don't like it. I like towers.
I don't like
but
it.
That's like legitimately the entire reason anyone went with an Earth roll at all, because otherwise Earth has been seen as pretty bad because it makes upholding authority 5, and that's a province you want to break, 5 strength, as opposed to 3. So that's kind of where we're at.
I guess that's why the argument was Scorpion went for it on Keeper, because we have the new Earth province, which is pretty great.
What's that?
It is called
Effective Deception.
Effective Deception, yeah, just something Deception, which is more or less a better version of a Forged Edict on a province, such that anytime a triggered ability, I don't have it up right now, I think it's triggered ability fires, it can cancel it. So like they know it's there, your opponent knows it's there, but it kind of has a wider spectrum of stuff that it can affect than just events.
Ooh. When the effects of a triggered ability would initiate during a conflict at this province, cancel those effects.
Yeah.
It's 4 strength Earth roll. Yeah.
Right.
That is effective.
Right.
So
and
we have that.
Can definitely do some work. So, but like, I think the overall, like, Scorpion took that because at some point they're going to have to lose Keeper of Air, which, because of Mark of Shame, is one of their strongest for that Dishonor deck. And Keeper of Earth is probably the next best deck between Earth Becomes Sky and that, like you said, that province makes losing Upholding Authority or making Upholding Authority worse feel a little less bad. So,
and because and I think the keeper there was because we want to use Shasura Miyako, which is our new conflict version of Miyako that lets her disguise in over any non-Scorpion characters, and if we can trigger our initiates and whatnot to come in, we can Miyako on top of that type of thing.
Yeah, so. And also Keeper for backhanded compliment.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Pretty much a key part of that Dishonor burn deck.
Yeah, so that's like the Scorpion bits. I don't know that that's like 100%. Like I'm speaking totally as a ignorant Scorpion right now, because that's all I've seen. I need to get back into the Scorpion chat and talk more. So yeah, we're taking the Meek approach to this, but those are the kind of like standout things for Scorpion that I would say you could expect to see at the moment.
Yeah. So there's definitely some like new stuff coming. Like some of the new cards, like you said, the new Shosuro Miyako, she's a disguised conflict character, and she can dishonor someone when she comes into play, a non-unique. So that's a little bit limiting, but she's still pretty good. And there's a bunch of other kind of power cards or builds that are going to be unlocked by these role selections. So like Crab are getting a whole new deck archetype for the first time since the game started. It is no longer like just immediately correct to take Spyglass and Talisman of the Sun and all that. Spyglass because it went on the restricted list, and then with Keeper of Air, they and a new card called Warden of the Damned, they have access to a ton of kill effects. So what Warden of the Damned gives them, it's a 3 cost, 2 political, 2 military, 1 glory conflict character that's a monk.
It's a monk. It's a conflict monk.
I know.
Ooh.
You could drop him in and then high kick.
Yeah. It's a 3 influence conflict monk.
Yep. No problem.
Yeah, that's a little bit harder.
Wow.
But he has a forced reaction where at the end of the conflict phase, each player must sacrifice a dishonored character they control, if any. So if you can play like Warden of the Damned, get some value out of the fact that it's a 2/2 for 3 isn't great stats, but it's a body, it's fine. And then like throw a Mark of Shame or get a fire ring off on your opponent or something like that, then
Yeah,
you
that
can like
fire
kill
ring
their big
becomes
guys.
huge.
So like the lists I've seen running that are like on 3 Mark of Shames, 3 Miyako, or 2 or 3 Miyakos, because your crab, you have a bunch of non-scorpion characters she can disguise over. And just like 3 Way of the Crabs too. Just a total board control deck. So that's going to be completely different. I don't know if that's going to be as good as more standard crab, but that's what Keeper of Air is kind of opening up for them. So that's going to be interesting to see.
You seeing any fallen in battles in there, man? Seeing any of them? It goes
I
so
have
well
not.
in there.
Do
Damn
they?
It. It does. It work. No, I don't know. I want it to work.
Yeah, everybody wants it to work.
I think it should work in there. It should work.
You feel free to try that.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna kick it in overdrive.
I mean, I get the flavor text on the Warden of the Damned is pretty interesting. The wardens who attend to the damned are as ruthless as they are courageous. They must stand ready to cut down the very companions whose humanity they seek to preserve. They're like, oh yeah, you went already to help these people. Yeah, okay. Well, you got a little corrupted. You're dead too.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Oh, that makes sense. You're dishonored, so you're probably corrupted.
Yeah, the damned is a whole legion of a little bit Shadowlands tainted crabs who basically get thrown into the meat grinder of the Shadowlands to die, because that's all they're good for now.
You're gross. Go die.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually hadn't seen that. That's a good card. That's a really I definitely would see a good it's a borderline just good Dishonored card too, right? Like get rid of those guys that are high value if you can dishonor them. I mean, I could see if that'd be a fun one to run for Scorpion.
Yeah, a lot of influence, but
the 3 influence
it's
is
definitely
obvious.
a strong card.
But the fact is the 3 cost makes you feel not so bad buying it with Fate.
Yeah.
Nick, how's Duel to the Death doing?
It's okay. It takes a lot of setup, and it's very telegraphed. I think most people at this point have cut it. Like, if you think about it, right? If you think about the requirements for Duel to the Death, it's 1 Fate during a conflict where I have a guy, and you're dishonored, and my guy has at least 5 military more than you, or else it also costs me honor. Like, because I'm gonna bid 5, right? Because there's no way I can let you win that and kill my guy. So there's a lot of things that need to be true for you to play that card.
You could just kill such big characters.
But if they're big, they're hard to kill because they're big, and you need to be even bigger.
But they're dishonored, so they're less hard to kill.
True, but nobody runs Glory except for Crane anymore, so.
Dragon. Poor Dragon.
Yeah, poor Dragon. Because they have.
Okay, so what's the new hotness with Crane these days then?
Well, there's two big things. One has been with the Seeker of Void roll, we get access to a card called A New Name, which is 0 cost, +1/+1, and attached character gains the Courtier and Bushi traits. So this lets you play like For Shame really easily. The deck had moved a lot away from Courtiers, and so we were really Bushi heavy with all our new duelists, Toshimoko and all that. So A New Name is, number one, it's free stats, which is so good in a deck that really cares about like getting a big tower together. And then it turned on For Shame in places people didn't see it, and it combos really well with a new holding that Crane got called Esteemed Tea House, which is a +2 strength holding with action during a conflict in which you control a participating courtier. Choose a attachment on any character, doesn't have to be participating. basically it bounces it back to the controller's hand, and that controller cannot play copies of that attachment for the remainder of the turn. So it's soft attachment control. So I can drop clouds back into your hand, or I can like pick up my own attachments. So one of the things I've been looking at using it for is now that Crane have Keeper of Air, build a kill deck with Mark of Shames. So I can drop the Mark of Shame, double dishonor your guy, and then if I have a tea house out, I can just pick it back up, put it back in my hand. So 2 fate, dishonor someone, don't spend a card. Pretty good.
It's mean.
Yeah. So that's kind of Crane. And then I've been playing around a lot with a super towery, super slow keeper dueling deck. I honored out a couple times. It was great, but I'm shifting it more towards what I think is going to be more of a meta thing. So I would expect to see a lot of Cranes on Unicorn Splash.
So what's that about? Why are you splashing Unicorn?
So the idea is I get a big old tower and I throw it at your province, and then it bows. And I go, okay, I don't care, because it has like 2 or 3 duelist trainings on it. And I just move it bowed into the next conflict and duel your guys so they bow.
How are you moving with
things like favored
Adorned
mount
Barsha.
and adorned Barcha, although I'm iffy on that one, but adorned Barcha does real work.
I don't know. That thing's pretty great.
That card's amazing.
That card's really good.
But it
iffy
fights,
on it. Amazing.
It fights with, well, it's a really good card, but it fights with Gossip because they are both limited, so you can only play one or the other on the same turn. So
Ooh, boo-hoo.
Yeah, it's an embarrassment of riches, really. So yeah, that's been fun.
Are you running Gaijin Customs in that or no?
Oh yes, yeah. 3 Gaijin Customs, some Talismans of the Sun, so I can
All right. So you copied my dragon deck, is what you're saying. You just plagiarized, is all we're saying here.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's video proof of it on the internet. I played it.
That is true.
I lost so many games.
I was going to say
Gaijin Customs is nasty in that deck.
I was going to say that I keep winning games with it, but so that's a slight difference.
No, I did. I had like a 50. If it was on, it was ridiculous, and then if it was off, I lost real bad. So.
Yeah, see, that's I feel like it's a little more consistent out of Crane. That's all.
Yeah, that's cool. All right.
Yeah.
We got what else?
What else? Other big cards. Gateway to Maido is a 3 strength void province. Cannot be a stronghold province. And during a conflict at this province, you can play characters from your dynasty discard pile into the province as if they were from your hand. So that's not an action, it's just a default thing. There's, speaking of crab again, there's some crab decks that take advantage of this to either just get a insane amount of value, or there is technically an infinite combo. It's very hard to set up, costs like 13 fate to get going. But once you have it set up, you can kill your opponent in a single turn without them being able to do anything unless they play Gossip. So this
is through like infinitely looping levies and stuff.
Yeah, basically you use Vanguard Warrior to kill itself, which triggers it sacrifices itself to put fate on people, which triggers Yasuki Taka and Yasuki Broker, which gain money and draw cards. Conveniently, just enough money to buy that thing back out of your discard pile. And so you just loop that over and over, draw your entire deck, and then play Levy until your opponent is dead.
And you stay above the death because of, what do you have, a Praise to Abisu in there?
I think for the actual full version of it, you need to like run Warm Welcome. There's a way to like you Warm Welcome a Levy and a Warm Welcome to get them back into your pool, and you can use Jade Tetsubo to like gain fate off of your characters.
Yeah, but how are you staying above them combo when you in honor?
Oh, so on every cycle, right? You're taking 3 from them with Levy, right? Every time you reshuffle your deck, you're taking 3 from them and then losing 5. So you net lose 2, they net lose 3. And
okay,
so
you don't even need the Praise to
Abisu. It can, but like most of the way that I've seen Crab use it is just on their turn where they are playing Gateway to Mido, they're like, okay, I'm going to buy out this Caillou Envoy, and then I'm going to Way the Crab You, and I'm going to buy out the same Caillou Envoy again, and I'm going to buy out all of my Vanguard warriors that I can, and just like generating an insane amount of value on that single turn. I think that's generally accepted to be the better way to do it. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I know Joe from Cincinnati, another friend of the pod, was playing one that did lean really heavily into the combo side of it. So
is it like you said, it's kind of the generally more expected. It's not really prevalent. You're not seeing like the gateway, the infinite loop deck everywhere. It's mostly just for value, Mado.
Yeah, it's mostly just a huge value turn, and with Talisman, you can turn it on specific turns when you want to. So you're seeing it a fair bit in the more standard older crab lists where they're running like Talisman of the Sun and things like that. So
have you been infinite comboed to death?
No, I have been insane amounts of value to death, though. I was like winning this game, and then all of a sudden the guy pulled like 20 military skill out of his graveyard, including Casada, and I was like, neat. And then I died.
I think the first time I saw this was at a Midgard event. Not the combo, but like just Mado. It was a crab, and it was the one I think it was the EC. Yeah, actually, it was the EC at Midgard.
Yeah, it would have been right after it came out.
Yeah.
So people were definitely experimenting with it.
I was just picturing Nick's grave like tombstone. It's like Nick's last words. Neat.
Pretty much.
Because then you died.
That is the sign that I'm about to die.
I'll say along the line of province discussion, there's one that sparked me to build a weird lion deck. It was this Dishonorable Assault. That's during a conflict in this province, discard one or more cards, and you can dishonor each of the characters that are attacking based on the number of cards, which I thought would be like a fun little dishonor deck. And I played it a few times, and I came to realization that I don't know anything about Lion Dynasty, to the point where I finally came to the conclusion that everyone that has been saying that the two costers and Lion are really weirdly skewed in their value was true.
Yeah.
Because it was hard to buy any characters that were like to get any number of characters in play, because they have a ton of unique characters that are low cost.
Yep. Yeah, and then everything that isn't has pride and is a 2/1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know how to build a Lion Dynasty, and I think I am along the same in the same position as most Lion players at this point, because I think that's the problem they always complain about.
I hear the Lion pack is gonna, kind of wreck, or it's gonna make them strong enough to. That's the feeling that I get, is that the Lion pack is gonna bring them up quite a bit.
Oh, I think the Lion pack's gonna be pretty good. I don't know enough of the cards in there, and that's like definitely in the future. As far as, I mean, people have been saying they're pretty happy to see it coming. I know that James was playing with a bunch of the cards today. I don't know what he was using, but even in the current inheritance cycle stuff, there's that. She's not like amazing, but she definitely does some work. It's this frog. I say frog lady because I forget her real name.
Steward of the Rich Frog.
Yeah,
frog lady.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you know what this does, Eric, but like she basically says if you as the Lion player have less cards, you can't have any dishonor status tokens applied to your characters, and it's just like an ongoing effect. It was so odd that last week I started playing Backhanded Compliments to discard a card for myself to then have James have more cards than me, so that I could actually then go ahead and dishonor his characters. Because like usually you use your Backhanded Compliments like towards the end of the game. I was using him like mid game, like all over the place.
Just just
so I could dishonor his stuff and make sure he had more cards. But he was only bidding one, so like he was only rocking like 2 or 3 cards a turn. So I gave him one, and I would go down to like 3, and he'd go to 4 or something like that, and then I'd be able to dishonor his dudes, and Cunning Magistrate exists, and they would do things.
Yeah.
So it's funny. So it's an interesting card. I don't know. I feel like it's one that you can see kind of balancing out the meta, as it will, because it does do some work, but it's totally a matchup dependent card.
Yeah, I can't see much outside of like Scorpion or like maybe that crab kill deck we were talking about. Yeah, where you'd really want it. Anyway,
So there was, I was even, the. Oh no, I actually talked with some people about this on a previous episode. But the Echo Bird deck, Echo Burb, and whatever. There's like a billion meme names for this thing, right?
yep, Dredgebird and
Dredgebird. I was tuned in enough to hear about that, but for those who missed it, you want to just take us through that?
Yeah, Echo Bird was basically use the card Forebearers Echoes out of Phoenix. So Forebearers Echoes is a spell, so Phoenix could recast it using Kyuden Isawa. It allows you to basically pull someone out of your graveyard, and then they go away at the end of the conflict. Well, there's a character called Fushicho in Phoenix, who, when he leaves play, you choose another character in your graveyard, bring them into play, and put a fate on them. So, yeah, it led to some insane value where you would just mill all of your cards into the discard with Mia Satoshi. And then for 2 fate, you'd bring back a giant 6/6 bird that when it died, got you like a champion with a fate on it. And it was insane. Really, really powerful, super value heavy degenerate deck. There was a Imperial Advisor episode, episode 55, that talked about it in depth. So they talked a lot about the way the deck works and things like that. So that was and the experience of it at Gen Con too. So because that was kind of its first
dead
debut.
now, right? Like that's sort of the important thing.
Yeah,
Currently
Done.
no
yeah,
worlds.
Phoenix no longer have an error roll, and Forebearers Echoes requires the error roll. So they are Seeker of Void and Seeker of Earth. So they gave it up in favor of their own in-house Earth Becomes Sky.
Right. And the other piece, which I don't think you mentioned, was that they also would import My Ancestor Strength and then stamp out little like 1 fate 6/6s all over the place and stuff.
Yeah, that's always nice.
Which was the part of the deck that I didn't really do when I played 4 games with it. But when I watched some of the streams of this deck being played, I was like, oh wow, that's even really like almost as powerful as the Fushisho side.
Yeah.
Just being able to like, oh yeah, you know what? You're like, oh, you're up 4 fate. No, you're not, or not 4 strength. Here's a 6/6.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's the only deck I've ever seen, like serious competitive deck, that played Fire Tensei Initiate, which is a 1 cost 0/0 with no abilities. It's just a body that you can turn into a 6/6 with My Ancestor's Strength.
It has no abilities?
Nothing.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
scholar Shugenja.
Yeah, it's like a woman that's got like it's a female character art card, right? I think I remember like black hair. Yeah.
What is this? Fire Tensei Initiate?
Yep.
Yeah,
I just brought it up in the chat.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, she's too glory. She was supposed to be for the IMS deck, right?
Something like that.
Or
Well, there was also
like the fire katana.
Sawasuki. Yeah, she does have the fire trait for the fire katana. Sawasuki can honor her because she's a scholar, at which point she's a 1 fate 2/2. Okay. But there were some uses, but mostly she turns into a giant 6/6. She channels a dead Phoenix.
Yeah. Okay, so that's like most of the new stuff, I guess, right? Dragon. Anything happening with them at all? They got the Justicar's approach. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, people have been trying that one out. I haven't seen it in the wild. So like the 3rd pack, which has Justicar's approach in it, which is, I guess I should explain. It's a 1 cost, +1 military attached to a courtier character. And it gives them the ability, action, initiate a military duel. The loser of the duel bows. If they're already bowed, dishonor them. If they're already dishonored, kill them.
And bowed, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, it's like a flowchart. If they're just fine, bow them. Otherwise, dishonor. And if they're already bowed and dishonored, kill them. So they just got Seeker Bear. So people are thinking about like Scorpion for things like Mark of Shame. Yeah, always good just to dishonor folks. Then you just need to bow them, and there's a bunch of different things you can do there. Even like high kick. Yeah, I
Sweet
know.
high kick tech.
Very spicy.
So that doesn't seem very good.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to it.
Was there anything else? Anything else that came out for Dragon that's like good at all?
Not. I mean,
This
not
is
to
what
be
I'm
too
talking
depressing,
about.
but yeah, not really. There's
All
not
right.
a lot out there.
I guess I'm staying on Phoenix for a little while.
Yeah, Phoenix is great. Phoenix is a like really, really strong deck. Yeah,
I want to be green again, I think, but I can't. I can't.
I know. I know.
All right.
It's a hard
So
life.
I don't know. I guess we probably neglected a clan there. Unicorn. I don't know.
Yeah, Unicorn's just doing basically the same thing they always did. Although I found a really cool. I'm building a deck, rather, that plays. So there's a new card, Shinjo Gunso, which is a 2-cost 1/1, and when it's played from your provinces, you look at the top 5 cards of your dynasty deck, choose a character that costs 2 or less, and put them into play immediately. And then discard the rest. So it puts 4 cards into your discard pile for cavalry reserves. It gets you a free body. It's a 1/1 cavalry that you can sacrifice to your Hisumori Toride to generate an additional conflict. And I basically built a deck that has Moto Chagatai, Shinjo Shono, and a million 2-drops, 1 and 2 drops, and it just spams out a board out of nowhere, like, and then plays for greater glory to like keep them around, and it's insane nonsense. I don't think it's actually that good, but it's a really fun deck to play, and it wins or loses by like the end of turn 2. So
It's like any
nice and
unicorn.
quick. Yeah, basically, it's basically normal Unicorn, except I get to use like Ujik Tactics, which is legitimately bad card, but still,
Perfect.
yeah, it's fun.
I think we had a couple of. I did a quick little like spam out for before we recorded the show. If anybody had any questions, and we had a couple. We Christian on L5R Discord, the global one, said, "What should we complain about now that Echo Bird is gone for 3 months?"
I hear lots of people
And
are complaining about Crane. Crane is a good thing to complain about, if that's what you're looking for.
all right, Crane rolls.
Yeah, free the rolls hashtag.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
on that
probably the
train.
thing I've heard the most about lately. Free the roll.
Yeah,
And I,
people want to just totally make them all open all the time. Is that? I mean, that'd be
Yeah,
kind of fun. But
basically, the most recent role selections led to a lot of hurt feelings. Like Lion lost, so they were choosing between Seeker of Earth and Keeper of Air, which like have 2 totally different play styles, right? One's Keeper, one's Seeker. Earth is like the super tempo because you're playing Earth Becomes Sky and Display of Power
yeah,
and stuff like that. Whereas the Air deck has, number one, I mean, they have a lot of options for Air, Forebearers Echoes and Marks of Shame and Soul Beyond Reproach, all these things that are like good in Lion. And they lost that by 1 vote.
yeah.
So
And
think of all the
that
people who voted on
sucks.
the other side that are very upset about that. So there's a
Well,
lot of around.
I remember at the EC at Midgard that was actually the hot button topic between all the line players, because there were a fair amount there, and it was like that was exactly the discussion. I think there was the uh, the persuading of one side to go to the other a lot in that discussion. So
Yep.
uh, I I think that the Earth Becomes Sky is like the card, but I also think that like that card is not going to last that long. That you lock yourself. I hate hearing a decision made by a clan that locks them into a splash, right? Because that to
Yeah.
me is where I
Yeah.
think the argument is justified. Where someone who wants to play something now feels like they and I feel that way too. Like a lot of times I feel like I can only play with a crane or a phoenix splash, right? Like and I want to play
Right.
more crab splash. Like they're out there, but like they're not really as good. Or not as good. There's just not enough options when you include that. And it's like, okay, now you just take the Phoenix splash, okay, and you're basically locked in to that. Is it a good deck? Probably, but it's like not that exciting if you want to have some fun, right? And just do
Right.
different things.
And that's one of the things. So Crane had a pretty like big debate over the first role choice because a lot of the top Crane players wanted to go Seeker of Void when we were going to keep Seeker of Fire. And that means we were going to have 2 Seeker roles, and everybody who played a Keeper deck was going to be out of luck. And there's a lot of good cards for Keeper for Crane, like Defend Your Honor was big. To an extra cancel, it turns on your Stronghold, things like that. When it's cute and Kakita anyway. So with this next role selection, there was actually like a lot of talk about like, okay, we already have Seeker of Void, but we're going to lose that after Worlds. Maybe we should get Keeper of Void now because a new name is so strong. We need the Void continuity. And people were like, no, let's go for Keeper of Air because it opens the most options, which I actually kind of like. There's that Keeper of Air kill deck with like Marks of Shame and Noble Sacks and stuff like that. I've been having a lot of fun with the Unicorn Splash, using Air Roll for a couple of Soul Beyond Reproaches just to fight Scorpion a little bit better, but also Frostbitten Crossing because when I go to Unicorn, I don't have the same attachment control as I'm used to from like a Dragon Splash. So like there's more options in like Keeper of Air than there would have been from like some people were pushing Keeper of Earth, some people were pushing Keeper of Void, but like those are like one deck that you're going to build,
Yeah, no, I agree because like there's just there are a ton of cards that I just don't ever see getting play, right? Like, not that I care that this card is any good or not, but like in this recent, I think it was this pack or the last pack, Scorpion got a card that's like Fire Roll only, and you're like, cool.
Yep.
Okay. I don't even read. You see that you don't even read the card. Right?
Great. Let me forget about that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like,
yeah,
is the card good? It could be the best card in the world, but like it literally has 0. Like you cannot use it.
There is no clan in the game with a Fire Roll right now, so you cannot play that at all.
And like, it's not a terrible ability. It's basically Hawk Tattoo or Dishonor. Like, it's not a bad card.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's great, but and I guess the thing here is based off of this because I think I could spiral out on this, but would be like, what do you think that they would ever do? Do you think they would free the roles? Because I actually have been thinking about this in the back of my mind. I also don't know that freeing the roles completely is like the right thing to do because then it just becomes like there's very little structure, it seems to. But again, I don't know. I'm not that in tune with, I guess, everything and like the pulse of the community to like see what I'm missing in that sense. But I feel like if it opens up that much, there's like maybe too much openness.
The idea that I had heard somewhere kicked around that I like is to have some kind of structured role system and then to have the option to spend influence or something. Like you get 2 fewer influence or something. Have a new role that is any role. Like you can take any clan you want, but you don't get cool, secret keeper situations, and maybe you get like, I don't know, 7 influence or something. I don't know.
So is it like, for this, the Alluring Patreon is what I'm thinking of. So like in that case, if it was a Scorpion, would I have to just forego like whatever number of influence that I could spend somewhere else to include her in a non-fire role situation? Is that kind of the
instead of like Seeker gets 9 influence, this would be like 7 or something. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The problem with that is and I don't know if this is a real problem or my perceived problem is I would expect that a game was designed over time with the influence cost, and I'm kind of like laughing inside on this. So with the influence cost actually mattering, which we all know it doesn't. But in my mind, I feel like they've gotten better with it. So like there has to be some weird cost. I don't know. It's not my job to figure that out. It's
right. But I mean, if that role granted you the ability to pull whatever, you can ignore role locking, for this role, then maybe they'd have to figure out where that goes. And that might be really, really hard to, like you said, they've been designing all these cards knowing that like, well, Keeper and Seeker can never go together, right? So it's okay if we design these cards in these ways, and then, putting that kind of volatility together might end up with some crazy broken crap.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just land on the side of, if you're gonna soft free the roles like that. I mean, number one, like the ability to put like Keeper Initiates in any deck would be really powerful. Although I guess you wouldn't have a ring to claim them off of, huh? Huh. I don't know. Like I
No,
feel
they
like
wouldn't work.
there's a lot of structure around deck building in this game.
Yeah.
You between 40 and 45 cards, 2 different decks. You can only have 10 characters in one of the decks. You've got the influence and clan restrictions. Uh, and then you still have the restriction of, the keeper or seeker and the element, right? If you were to free the rolls, it's just that you get to choose which element you're locking yourself into. I don't know. I think the player base could handle it.
Could handle a free
Just
roll.
totally freeing it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they've already shown. So the big thing is that they wanted to do was, the old game had this tradition of players choosing story outcomes based on tournament results. And they wanted to continue that into this game, but they weren't sure how to do it because a lot of times those story results ended up super, we'll
Weird.
say less serious. Yeah. There was apparently a campaign to make an elephant emperor or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so this was their way to address that by giving the players choice that affected the mechanics of the game rather than the story of the game, so they could kind of keep the story on track. But
seems way more dangerous. Like, here, mess with this. This is
yeah,
less important.
exactly. Yeah, mess with the competitive environment. But also, like, they've figured out since then how to do cool story choices. Where, like, at Worlds last year, they were, telling people you get to
Yeah.
choose what family is going to do this. And here's what that means. The Yogo are going to approach things this way. The Daidoji are going to approach things that way, kind of thing. So, I feel like that's a really cool way to do it. And they've done it at other tournaments now, too, where they had a vote on some sort of Phoenix. I forget exactly what this was, but it was at the Birmingham Cote. There was a vote on like how the Phoenix were going to approach some problem. And
That's
they
right,
let
because
people vote, but it's like from a limited menu of options. And that I think is the key is you just make sure that the menu of options does not include ha ha ha, then they burn down the building. Ha ha ha.
right. It's not open ended. It's like
Exactly.
here's 4 different paths. Choose your own adventure, but you can't just go jump off the deep end.
Exactly. Yeah. So I
Right.
like that a lot, and I'm really hoping to see that expand, especially with Worlds coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Didn't they say too that they're changing the way that the voting is going to work, at least right now? Like you're going to not be able to just like there was, I say rumors because this is all I know it to be, that rumors that people are like skewing votes and like piling up them to like
Yeah,
mess
I
with
mean,
other clans.
people were definitely buying and selling vote cards. I don't know how many of them were used to screw up other clans, but
I have
I
2 that I never
guess
spent. I should have made some money.
useless now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think most people are just selling them for promos. I don't know about real money, but you could have gotten like some sweet like spot gloss Tadakas or something.
Mm.
Anyway, so yeah, the next set of elemental championships or wherever we end up doing voting, because that whole structure might be changing next year. But the next set of those is going to have clan locked cards. So there's going to be the Crane vote card at that event. And you can't use that for anything but Crane. So you won't be able to like sell your votes to, screw up Scorpion if you don't really care what role Crane gets.
Right. That's good.
Yeah.
So since they've made that kind of announcement, it seems pretty clear that they're not going to be freeing the rolls, right? Because they've got next year's roll voting system like dreamed up already.
So they said Tyler was on one of the other Discord chats and said during right after that article came out where he talked about the new roles and then how they're going to be selected next year, that he wrote that article prior to everyone. There was kind of this community push over the last couple of weeks for free the roles as we started getting closer and the angst started amping up in a couple of the communities. And he said that that was written prior to the community kind of changing or at least becoming more active in its free the rolls mindset. So,
well, we'll see what happens. It'll be a whole new crazy world if they did.
yep.
There was did you have any more questions from that area, or did
Yeah,
some, NEL5R too?
Yeah, no, not from that area. So any L5R, yeah, go ahead.
So I mean, there was just the generic one about knowing our opinions and the new roles and the winners and losers. So I mean, I guess we kind of touched on that, but that was from Mike, and he was more curious. I think more specifically, like who won and who. So like, I think we probably can say that anything that overall, like, and the article touches on this, anything that was on the fence of like a vote one way or the other was probably going to cause argument between that clan. So winners and losers, I would say those clans that were 1 or 2 votes off of what one side wanted the other was a loser, just purely because like there's half of a clan that is unhappy, right? Whether that the choice was made was right or not, like doesn't really matter. Like you've unsettled half of the clan potentially, right?
There's a clear winner here, actually.
Really?
It's Unicorn got Keeper of Ear. That's a new one.
That is true. Yeah, they
You're
get
right.
an entirely new role that nobody else even gets access to.
Yeah.
This is a reference to the FFG website where it displays the roles down on Unicorn side. It says effective until March 2nd, 2020. Keeper of Ear for Unicorn. That's like,
someone got really lazy like on the Friday before, and they were like, "Oh, I had to type this 4 other times."
Earth?
3 other times, whatever it was.
Sorry, derailed.
Yeah. But as far as like specifics, I mean, I don't know. I think Scorpion did okay. I don't think I actually think it's not good. I don't think it's bad. So I don't think that makes them a loser. Phoenix, I think the Seeker of Earth is good because they have in-house now. We talked about the Earth Becomes Sky. Right? That's just like a card they can use.
The big downside to Seeker of Earth for Phoenix is that their province row goes from absolutely amazing to pretty bad.
Yeah.
So it's
but that happens every time you lose a void. Like that's
true.
Scorpion lost Seeker of Void like a year and a half ago or whatever now, and I was surprised we didn't go Seeker of Void. I'm actually wondering if we're gonna go towards it for after Worlds. I know people will probably try and stick to Air, but I still think Void is really good.
Yeah, I don't know what the plan there is. I know basically that Phoenix or Scorpion never want to lose Keeper because without backhand and complement, that Dishonor style of deck just rolls over, right?
Yeah.
It just can't close the game. So they were talking about keeping Keeper of Earth just as like their backup role, and then whatever they get at Worlds, there's not like probably going to be a lot of competition for. I guess I don't know. I'm not into the internal politics of you red masky folks.
Right. As far as Lion, we talked about them. They are on that toe the line, and half of them are happy, half of them are sad. Like, is Seeker of Earth bad? No. Is it have a longevity to it? Probably not, because I don't think that deck is gonna last. But
you think that Earth Becomes Birth? Ooh, wow, that's a good one. Earth Becomes Sky is gonna get like RL'd or something?
I don't know about that. I mean, maybe, but I don't know about that. I think it's more of like you are now locked into people using that specific deck. Like that is what you build. So like if it ever gets, whether it's RL'd or whether there's something that comes up that can shut that down in some way, then like that you put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, good, nice.
Dual on the same wavelength.
Yeah. What's that called? Colloquialism?
Yeah, who knows?
Anyway.
I don't know anything about Dragon except would you play them anymore, so they are a winner because they have new stuff to play with.
Basically,
so they got their solitary strength can be played now, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. But I think what it boils down to for Dragon is that Seeker of Void was their best province row remaining after like Feast or Famine got on the restricted list. So they went for Seeker of Air, which is the next best province row for them. But
for money and for like the Soul Beyond Reproaches and the Mark of Shames, right?
In general, a Seeker role is going to be better if you have a good in-clan province of that role.
Right.
So like Seeker of Fire was so good for Dragon because they had Restoration Balance. So they didn't have to run one of the other fire provinces. They could just run Restoration and Feast or Famine. Or like Scorpion loved Seeker of Air because they had secret cache in clan. And Dragon do have a really strong air province, the Sacred Sanctuary. It's just normally you want your Seeker element provinces on your row so you can get the money from them during the kind of early to mid game where it's going to have more impact. And a lot of dragons obviously put that on their stronghold, so you're going to get the money at a relatively late portion of the game. So
Yeah.
It's a puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crab getting air, I think that's a winner. I think that's like based off of what you did. I didn't even realize that card that you were talking about earlier, the Warden of the Damned. Like that is something I'm gonna look out for. Like that's just a good card. And then the fact that they can run air, good stuff now, is like nice.
Yeah, and like if nothing else, right? They were losing Keeper of Water. That's gonna hurt because Fight On is huge for that deck. And any
Yeah.
other keeper can run the old Unicorn Splash minus Fight On and just
Right.
do, as best they can. So the fact that Air gives them this option for a completely different style of deck is pretty cool. I think that was a smart way for them to take a look at it and say, all right,
Yeah.
we wish we had Keeper of Water for Worlds, but we don't. So what's the next best thing?
Right. I was just gonna say too, like I think I've seen this in the past, like when a clan knows it's a short time between Gen Con and Worlds in all reality,
Yeah.
that like you pick a slightly not amazing one, knowing that you can probably get the one you really want for the long term after it.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but yeah. All right. I think we'll probably jump off that topic and kind of get close to wrapping up here. There was one that Derek did bring up about line taking Earth, and I think we've touched on that, so we'll go into it again.
Yeah, none of us are Lion players, so
Yeah.
it
we
caused
don't know.
controversy is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, and like he said, the Jade Throne had a lot to say, and I agree. And I think anything we said here probably echoes that, and I agree with that statement. I mean, unless we had James on, who's our local Lion player, at least to New Hampshire, I don't. Sad.
Yeah, I know he's been really enjoying Earth Becomes Sky. It's very annoying for my deck in particular. So
it's a good card, like we said. It
Yep.
is.
Yep.
So I think that's all we have for the show tonight, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna sputter our way out here with an outro, and that is that samurai sometimes notice peasants, noticing them not noticing samurai.
And they
Perfect.
sometimes sell them.
Nails the dismount.
Notice. Does a peasant notice another peasant if it's a shinobi?
Ooh.
Depends on their stealth roll.
What if it's a
what's their
Yojimbo
skullduggery
shinobi?
skill?
They have a small tattooed man riding a back of them.
That somehow makes you
How
less
much strife did they roll?
conspicuous.
The friggin' logic of that doesn't make any sense.
Did they be right? You're just carrying this guy around and nobody notices you. What is it?
Okay. That's enough. Good night, folks.
Good night.
You've been listening to The Meek Informant. You can find us on the web at www.facebook.com/The Meek Informant, and can subscribe to our podcast through Google's podcast app, Apple's podcast app via iTunes, or Podbean at themeekinformant.podbean.com/feed.xml. Want to continue the conversation about today's topic or any of our other content? We can be reached via our Facebook page or email themeekinformant@gmail.com. We also have a Twitter account @meekinformant. Our YouTube or Twitch accounts can also be found by searching for The Meek Informant. If you would like to help others find us, please consider writing a review on iTunes or wherever you subscribe to our show. Thanks for listening, and remember, samurai seldom notice peasants. Peasants always notice samurai.